Hello, we're going to take a look today to functions and recursive functions in C++. For those who ask themselves what's the difference between functions and loops, well, it's kind of a very interesting topic, so we could um, spend a few lines of text and stuff. There's a lot of documentations running around. But without going through about pros and cons of each, I guess that for me recursivity is much more about um, doing an action for a number of times, following the scopes of that. So if I'm just going to write this very quickly, well, what I could do is, let's say you have a function that have a void function called hex that takes an int argument called a, and you run hex to a number of times. Well, that's somehow what I could call recursivity. So you would have x calling a, and so on and so on. That's kind of a very obvious infinite loop right here. So here comes recursion. So you need to precise in your recursions that you want to end out this recursion. So let's say, let's just pseudo code right now, but if a equals 0, well, you have a return, right? So I know it's void, and normally void returns nothing, but basically just by putting return, it's just going to end up the function, right? So there we quit the infinite loops. Okay, right? Let's write it in code. I'm just going to start by making a main function. We need to using namespace std, because I definitely just want to shortcut stuff. You know, this is not an introduction to C++. I've made another lesson on it if you want to follow along what kinds of data type, what are functions, what are pointers, functions, and so on. But for now, I'm just going to demonstrate functions and recursivity. So I could just include, IOStream. I know it's quite ghetto. I'm using this text editor called Atom. And I'm going freestyle inside of my terminal to actually just compiling the main.cpp file using G++. Yep. It's kind of slow. I'm not on my HTTP machine, so please bear with me. What I could do is just see out welcome to the program, just to see if it's compiling right. It's on the same line, but that's all good. Then I could just go /a.out, and there you go, welcome to the program. Okay, now let's start here and say we want to declare a function. Well, what we could do is say void recursive. It's going to take int limiter argument, and that's pretty much it. Let's go there, define our function, define functions. I like to define it at the end of the file, so what we're going to do is go with void. Actually, you know, I'm too lazy to just copy and paste this body over there. Bear with me for a second, and what I could do is for actually the whole plain way to make something do n number of times. Well, you could do int I equals, since limiter, and you could do something like, you know, like cout, right? You could do hello, right? That would work. I could go inside of here and call recursive for 500 times, right? Simple stuff, quite compile it and run it, and there we go. Okay, now it comes to recursivity. So just a few explanations. What we have right here is we have a function that is called void, that is called with a limiter, and this limiter represents the number of iterations that this for loop is going to run inside of the recursive function. It's not really recursive. Just a few explanations, as if you get back to what I was saying earlier, recursivity is actually you have functions called x that is calling x for the limiter number of times. So let's do it. Let's get rid of this guy right here. And what we could do is go back here and call back the recursive function with limiter, and still go out and see out. Hello. Well, I am trying to compile it right now. I'm not sure it's going to work. Let's give it a try. Oops. Okay, and you have something that should go on forever. I'm not sure. Let's give it a try. Actually, it's going to throw out a full element error. I'm not sure what it means, but what we want to do is to actually track the limiter. So every recursivity, we want to say that limiter minus minus, and if limiter equals 0, then we're just going to say return, right? Otherwise, we're going to call the function and cout. Hello. And there we go. Awesome recursive function. Okay, I'm just going to put lambda line here just for you to show. And that's it. If I'm compiling, then running, then I have it 500 times just to show you it's kind of good. I could just go out and see out limiter also. So you can keep track of every iterations of this recursive function and compile and run. And there you go. So for 500 until 1, there you go. Cool. This is Recursion in C++. Please like and follow if you liked it. Much love.